What's up, guys? How's it going? Welcome back to Atlas Theory. I think it's time for a little more theory crafting on the channel, so I brought on Kristian Dragnel from Interstellar Alliance. How you doing today?
Oh, thank you for having me, Aaron. I'm doing great. It's really nice to be here again. I really enjoy having those conversations with you. So let's have the best theories ever.
Awesome. Let's do it. No, I always enjoy our time talking. So you brought to me actually like this idea of why don't we kind of talk about theorycraft around universal basic income and how it may relate to the metaverse. So why don't you just start us off? What is UBI? How would you define it? And then we'll start to bridge the gap between that and how we see it in the future.
So what universal basic income is pretty much is government funds, just release it on the general population for various of reasons. Normally it's done in a huge crisis like the last pandemic that there was, etc. Normally it has plenty of good benefits of having this type of just free money coming out of nowhere for you and your family when you're in need. But this, of course, have many negatives that nowadays people are kind of not speaking about it. Of course, there is a lot of positives, but nobody's speaking about the negatives, right? And this is where I'm seeing the problem. I see how the conversations are being made. Many people are highly happy about it, that those programs will become available in the future, etc. But they are a little bit going just like in the crypto space. Everybody talking about, oh, going to the moon, everything is perfect, but nobody taking under consideration the risks that are involved. For me personally, I think that the Metaverse can play a huge role in how we distribute it more properly and more in a more organized way. Because just dropping out money to people when you don't really know to exactly who you're putting, right? They're now in US, for example, they're just sending on all of your mailboxes, right? Numbers, or I'm not really sure exactly how they're finding the people, but not every dollar goes to every person, right? Many of the money are being lost through the transactions with the legacy system, or just the inefficiency that they left being in this program, right? They didn't remove the inefficiency before they released those programs. They didn't really think about it. And the best thing where the metaverse is coming is that we are already organized, right? There is a lot of guilds, a lot of different organizations from all over the world, right? For example, you're American, from how I know, you're living in Norway at the moment with your family, and you can just see it from first look experience that things are different, right? No matter where you go. And for example, in Norway, maybe there is not that much need of universal basic income, but maybe there will be in US more need of that, because maybe there is more immigration or something like this. And nowadays, with just the digitalization of everything, everybody has a phone, everyone has access to those platforms that we're using nowadays. And probably from next year onwards, we'll be even having more metaverses, like more well-built ones in a better shape than now. Of course, nowadays most of the things are just in some alpha beta stage, but eventually things will start moving really rapidly. Then we need to already have those effective programs thought of and put in place so we can all take the benefit out of it, right? And what I mean with benefit is, for example, you have the your organization, I have mine organization. There's all kinds of different organizations that are looking for how they can bring back value to their community, right? This is the most important. Most of the people that are at the moment here are who are interested in the metaverse are more interested in the pay to not pay to earn, but play to earn, right?
Right.
And they are just making sure that whenever they are using their time, they are able to get something in return of that time. Right. And in the same way, universal basic income, in my opinion, should work. You need to give your time for those money, because if you start getting money all the time from for doing nothing, this is extremely detrimental to the individual that you're giving him those money, because he's pretty much become enslaved, and he's going to wait for you always to give him those money. Right. But when you're doing it as a service, like you're giving your time for something, and then you're able to, finish some kind of a useful, productive job, you feel much better than if you just get the money out of it. Right. Of course, I know that on the short term, most people will be like, just give me the money, don't make me do anything. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, this is what makes sense. But in a long term, this is not sustainable practice that you want your family, your neighbors to focus on, right? And yeah.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, I'm glad you're bringing this up, because this is like, I thought about, universal basic income before. And then I've also separately thought of the metaverse. But semi-recently, I've like, how does, UBI and play to earn interact? Because it seems like they could conflict, especially like you said, if it's just handout after handout after handout, like even playing a game to earn would be like
it's
too
weird.
much or something, So.
Of course, I do understand that this is just from our current perspective, where there is no culture for play to earn, proper culture, right? And I think it will be built by the governments, just like any other infrastructure that we have in the world. They just need to be properly incentivized to do it, and you need to make it easy for them, because they are very lazy and they just adopt technologies, companies, products, whatever you can offer them from the private sector. So what will happen in the future is nations will start realizing that those play to earn aspects, just like gaming, is huge aspect of some economies nowadays. Like there is a lot of money that are coming in your nation because of the gamers in your nation, etc. In the future, in my humble opinion, those resources, which is the gamers, will start being used by the governments in order to, for their own agendas, of course, but mostly to be based on GDP, because if more percentage of your GDP comes from those games and just metaverses and this type of environments, you're going to be highly incentivized as a government official to make sure that whatever is happening in this location, that you're making those profits, your income, you need to make sure that it's properly efficient, guided, regulated, etc. Because it's becoming national security issue, because too much money, when there is coming from outside sources that you as a nation do not regulate, then this is a national security issue. And for example, countries like with smaller population, like I'm in Iceland now, but I'm going back in Bulgaria exactly for those UBI programs that I want to check out how things are going there. But what will pretty much happen is just people like me who are highly interested in those things will go to government agency, and just like there is a programs for unemployment or motherhood and stuff like this, right? There are released programs from the government. There will be another one for UBI, for example, or they will replace it probably with you don't have a job, okay, you're not going to get money for just staying home and looking for a new job, like most people say, but you're not doing anything, right? Most of those people just wait for the money. So maybe it will be better if those people do not just get the money for no reason, but they are sent in a way to a specific metaverse, specific game, and they're doing some kind of a service. Like it may look weird at the moment, right? But if, for example, the government have some kind of a programs that then the players are able to take inside the metaverse, like quests. Think it just like basic quests.
Yeah.
Like my quest is to go on the, let's say, the Staratos app, go in this sector where my avatar will be there, which is provided from the government or something like this, and I'm doing some kind of a service for the rest of the people who are coming for the same reason, right? And maybe there will be multiple, right, for multiple different nations, multiple different organizations will take care of those things. And we are theory crafting, but those talks are happening, right? Not specifically for Staratos, but for the general purpose of the UBI and how best they can be just given to people, right?
So I guess for the viewer right now who's listening to this, who may not be able to take that the leap yet into understanding play to earn and universal basic income, all these things stem from what would you say? Like, what does government have to do? What do people have to do to create this, such a problem that we may have to use, UBI or use play to earn?
I think that this is the biggest danger that is pretty much hidden from the general population. Most people in the financial industry, people who are transacting bigger amounts of money on the back end, not on the front end, they realize that our global financial system is in very big, how to say it more accurately, it's a nightmare, folks. It's a nightmare. And there is a lot of barriers being put out now, so you cannot do business with certain parts of the world. And all of those fractionalization of the economies will continue to just expand rapidly. Like, you cannot imagine, for example, here in Iceland, you're a business owner, you're bringing some kind of food. For example, here in Iceland, it's very important to bring food from outside sources, but maybe you are bringing it from Russia, right? And all of a sudden, there is some kind of restrictions and you cannot do it. And this automatically affects your business. And if you have hundreds of people working for you, and all of a sudden you cannot bring this food products to continue doing your business, all of a sudden all of your people leave without work, right? And this is just one part of the entire chain that is becoming an issue, because now you're putting too many single points of failures, right? Because of all of those blockades being built everywhere. And we all are not fools. We're all living in this world where we have constant inflation. I don't think that this inflation will stop anytime soon. In fact, I think that that's the general idea for those governments to just inflate their government currency, the fiat currency, into oblivion. And I mean this word, when I say. And they are not going to return all of those money that they printed, They will abandon this entire system of old, and this is not just funny words. There's governments already been doing this in the past, and they are well aware how to do it and how to conduct it with the general population when they abandon the old system, and they will just give you the new one, which will be those UBI money that are pretty much given through multiple different ways. I'm not really sure exactly in which way they'll be distributed yet, but most likely to be in central bank digital currency. Right? Most likely this will be the method, because it will be a lot more simpler for them to give, for example, one link to everyone, or 100 different links, and everybody have to go and put their social security number or whatever they are giving to just fill in, and then you can receive your money, right? But most likely there will be some other requirements to get those money, right? And here is the trick, if you do not really understand what kind of requirements there is, that would be extremely problematic. If they want you to do something that you aren't willing to do it, and you are
Mm.
not able to get any money in other way, you're in very peculiar situation, which pretty much forces you in one way or another to do something you don't want. And I just look for new ways to how we can remove all of those requirements and make it a little bit more simpler, right? For example, of course, most likely not every single organization who is building metaverse game or a project or just organizations like ours, they will not be able to just handle the entire inflow of people and funds on their own. So most likely there will be even bigger regulatory oversight over those organizations who are willing to take the money from the government to distribute it to the people, right? Of course, when you are dealing with people's money, they want very high transparency. You need to be doxed. You need people to know who you are, and everything you need to do should be extremely transparent, just like I said. But when it comes to the governments, there's entire new set of requirements that you need. For example, just I'll tell you, for some companies that having this type of signed contract with the government or something in this, you either need to have higher security clearance or some kind of a specific designation under your name, in a sense, when you go in the government buildings or something like this, right?
Yeah.
So you're like a representative, like official figure, public figure, right? In order to build trust, because nearly everything that we are doing is based on trust. For example, with together we're trusting each other, right? We are communicating, and we know each other from quite some time. But we need to build this type of relationships.
Right.
This is also one of the big reasons that I was pushing for different organizations to be built, for the United Metaverse organizations to be built, because even if we cannot get enough competent people to build one organizations, maybe we can just fractionalize those organizations. And for example, now there is around 40, I believe, organizations that try to join the COPA event last time. I think it was like 40 organizations, something like this. And it all started from the Interstellar Alliance, pretty much, in a sense, right? We were the first, but the goal was to just start expanding those organizations and more people to be able to take the responsibility on their shoulders, because you need to have this responsibility, especially if you're going to deal with a lot of people, a lot of money, etc. And especially if you're responsible for putting food on those people tables, right? And yeah, it's very difficult. But with more people, we will do it.
So I guess with the inflation and all these things that you're talking about that like lead up, and that are starting this big crisis, you mentioned building relationships. Would you consider building relationships the most important thing a person can do right now to prepare for the coming age, or what would that be, do you think?
Yes, I think that the most important doesn't matter in what issue happens. If you are connected to a lot of people who can help you, this is always good. I really like the saying, if you're connected to 100 very connected people, you're connected to the entire world. And this is a fact. I've been to half the world. So the other part, I can just leave it like this because I have the people who are connected there, right? And don't mean about some very high big connection or something like this, but it's just good to know someone there, even if it's for just a holiday, right?
Right.
But it's still important because, for example, I've lived in more than 6 or 7 different nations so far, and most of those places I went to live because I had friends there, right? So it's very good to have friends in different nations to help you just get on your feet, in a sense, in a new country. You need the documents, you need to understand how things are, and it's not for everyone, of course, but overall connections, just the ones that we are making, even though we still for now didn't meet, that can change in the future, right? We can just next time when I'm going to Sweden, I don't really have a problem to go to Norway also, right?
Yeah, you should
But
get over here.
this is what I mean about connections. And one of the best things we can do is this, just communicating until we have the metaverse already built. So when we have it, we can just start making our projects or something else. I guess we can finish is the organization creators, the community managers, and officers, they need to open their eyes to constantly be open for new contacts, new communications, but also to make sure that they are putting an eye on their governments and those programs. I don't really know how things are done in most countries. I know only for those I've been, but from my personal experience, you can check in their government websites for the different programs that they are releasing each quarter or a year. I'm not really sure how it's in the different nations, but most nations are doing quarterly releases on programs. And whenever they start getting those UBI projects, those different ways which are just funding for metaverse projects, for CBDCs projects, and how you can connect the general populations. There will be all kinds of different ones, because all of those will be like tests. Because when you are testing something, when you're in the government, you do not test one thing, you test 10, and then you get what you think is best, right? You're just adopting new technologies. And I think the same will happen, but we all need to open our eyes and look for those programs and just pay attention. The biggest opportunities are in those type of crises that change the entire world, right? And we are all able to take huge advantage, because our world is competitive. We need to take advantage for the good of our communities, families, and everyone else, and pay attention for those that do not. In case all of those programs are released, it's better if you get the program that can bring money to the startups metaverse than some other metaverse, right? We're competing against others now, right? So it's good to just have all of those community managers and creators to be aware of this, so we can bring more money to our metaverse, because then all of those money will be distributed in a sense, or they will start circulating around our metaverse, right? And well, I don't say that we need to be tribal, but we need to take this under consideration. The more we are taking for our metaverse, the more our communities will be better off in the future.
And there's just so many builders, in our community that have these really cool visions and projects going on that, yeah, guys, if you're watching right now, like, or have an idea of your own, like, come get involved. Like, we're always willing to talk, help you guys out along this journey. Like Kristian said, like, the best thing now is like, pay attention, learn,
when it comes to the metaverse, the final thing I can say is just try to be useful. Try to be useful, because in the future we are all going to be entrepreneurs in a sense, right? At least most of us, right? So please just try to be as transparent in whatever you're doing, and do not forget that you only have your integrity here. Like, nothing else matters in the internet space. Your word is a rock. If you throw it, make sure it stays there, right? Thank you very much, everyone, for listening, and thank you, Aaron, for having me.
Oh yeah, no, thank you for coming on, and it's always fun talking out these subjects with you about like how the future may unfold. So I really appreciate it, and I appreciate your time, and yeah, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for
Well, guys, hit that like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more Star Atlas and Metaverse talks, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.